are listening to the War Rapport.
I want to talk about Harsin's assessment of the QBs on yesterday when he met with media, and just kind of talk about that. I want to get your thoughts on this, Ike. But let's play the first clip.
But overall, like what we're looking for from the quarterbacks is operation, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, I know everybody wants to see these guys go out there and just make plays, but you have to get the call from the sideline. You got to communicate it. You got to operate. And that's the most important thing right now is what we're looking for. And they did that. So they did a good job with that. Then they made plays. So probably that third series, fourth series, it started to pick up. Tempo picked up. Execution picked up. And I thought TJ did some really good things in the scrimmage as far as just managing the clock and the situations and making sure that we didn't have to call timeouts. So he has a really good awareness on the field. I thought Robbie made some plays, just standing in the pocket and throwing. He made some plays with his feet and getting out and scrambling and making a few throws. Zach did a nice job as well. He moved the chains and scored touchdowns. So all three guys, Holden didn't get a ton of reps in the scrimmage, but those three guys mainly, they all did some positive things that we needed to see from them.
So, Ike, your thoughts about, I mean, again, the more Harsin talks about his quarterbacks, the more we get an idea of what he's looking for. And it's a lot of what B actually just said. He's looking for a guy who has the command of the offense, who's kind of like an additional coach on the field, who understands what needs to be happening at this particular moment in time. But he also has praised Robbie Ashford's athletic ability and his playmaking ability. That's not lost on him. But we are getting an idea of what's really important to him as a coach and what he looks for in his quarterback. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he wants people to be having awareness of what's going on at all times, and being able to execute on those things proficiently, because they do have a pretty extensive playbook. And when you only have access to a limited portion of that, it limits what plays you can call. If your quarterback doesn't know, but 20, 30% of your playbook, then I can't do all these exotic things that I want to do because he can't execute it. Right? Like this, having a bunch of people at really great skill positions really only matters if you can get them the ball consistently, or I can call plays to put you all into scenario to be able to do it. But if I have to make that call and the QB's like, what? You have to be able to know that stuff really. And so it allows your offense to get up to speed more quickly when your quarterback understands what's going on. I saw some people kind of making fun of this on in some of the social media areas where talking about, TJ didn't have delay of games, right? A lot of that has to do with, just understanding what the down and distance. I think he was talking, and we might have a clip where he's talking about this, just understanding where we are in down and distance and what the coach is likely to call makes it a lot easier for you to get quickly into stuff, because you kind of know this is where we're probably going to go. And so like when the call comes in, you're already in that mindset and you can go more quickly. You can move faster as an offense when your quarterback has command. And when you get to the line of scrimmage, you can understand what this play is designed to do and understand, man, how they're lined up defensively. This isn't a good look for us. We need to get into something else. And I understand what the better look is for this based upon what the personnel is and the down and distance. Those types of things are things that you can't really teach quarterbacks how to do. On the inverse of that, you can't teach athleticism that Robbie has, right? And so he has the ability, even if he doesn't have the depth of understanding of the offense, to go out and make plays immediately, just off of the fact that he has something that you're naturally born with. You just have that ability. So it does put you in a good position, I think, in the quarterback room. And I've been saying this about the confidence I have in the quarterback room, where I feel as if we have the opportunity to do something special just because we have enough depth to be able to pivot if it isn't looking perfect to begin with. So I like where we are with the quarterback position, and I understand, like I said, fundamentally what it looks like. Coach Harsin and Coach Keesaw want to see out of their quarterback. TJ Finley is providing those things, but he also is complimentary of the fact. I think it's important to note what he mentioned first about Robbie is his ability in the practice and the scrimmage to operate from the pocket, because that's what he wants to see him do. He's like, I know you can run. I know at any given time, I know you can run. I need to know you can operate this offense, though.
Right.
And him being complimentary of that, I think, is important as well.
Good point. Good point. Rick, we appreciate the super chat. He says, word at A&M is Calzada was far more injured than anyone knew, but they didn't have another option. Jimbo may have damaged him out of expediency.
That's a shame. If that's true, that's a shame.
I mean, he was definitely playing hurt a lot.
I mean, yeah, we know
he got
playing
hurt in our game, and he played
Yeah.
the rest of the season, and clearly needed surgery on the thing that hurt him during that game. So, you know, I don't know if that was a Jimbo thing or if it was a Zach Calzada thing. I do know that he had been injured for pretty much the back half of that entire season.
Yeah, coming back from injury can be a weird thing mentally for a lot of players.
Right.
I mean, I know this is a different.
We talk about it with
but-
Alan Flanagan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with Alan Flanagan, right?
Yeah.
Like we know he has talent, but you know, for whatever reason, after the injury, it took him a year to get back up here, and we hope to see that on the court this season. I think it might be a little of the same for Calzada. But again, I'm not buying after what I watched him do in the field last year. I'm just not buying it that this guy is so far behind the other two, you know, from an ability standpoint. I don't think that's the case. But you know, again, you have to win the job in practice. I think Harsin said that during one of these pressers recently. This is that, you know, we can't just disregard the things that we see in practice. Those things matter. Yeah, those things matter. And so we have to go about what we see in practice. And, you know, publicly now we've seen a little bit of how it's played out in some, you know, and some of the detail things that playing the quarterback position. And, you know, maybe he hasn't looked as sharp, but I still think, you know, in case of emergency, Zach Calzada is not a bad option to have in your back pocket.
Yeah. Before we get to the break and before we continue on with this conversation, what does it say about having a coach who really does major in the details of preparation? And he talks about just the things that he expects to see in a game. He needs to see it first in practice. It was a little irritating last year because there were some guys who we knew who were gamers.
Right.
And why they didn't see the field. But when you talk about building culture moving forward, these guys understand what is expected of them, and they understand how this is how I get on the field. I have to be dialed in. I have to be prepared for meetings. I have to be prepared for practice. Like I have to be prepared because I will be even more prepared in games. What does that say, knowing that we have a coach who's preaching these things to these players?
I think it's the best way to get them prepared to be a professional. Like at the
Right.
next level, you're just going to be expected to come in and know how to do this stuff. Like they don't, if you expect to contribute significantly early in your career, if you have to play the catch-up game of how you attend a meeting or paying attention to the details in rookie camp, you're going to be behind the 8 ball with some of these guys coming in, right? And if you aren't already in a position where from a physical standpoint or from a hype standpoint coming in, you're not one of those guys, then that stuff is going to matter even more to your pro coaches because they're going to be like, okay, this guy gets it. He understands how to come in here and go to work because that's exactly what it's a job at that point in time. B. Will just talked about, like, you understand who your workers are, who you can trust in situational places. And as a professional athlete, you need to be able to have your coach's trust. So building that ability or that habit in these young men in college puts them that much further ahead as they try to transition into being professional athletes.